Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Troy David Phillips here at Flashback Comics, and today I'm going to talk about my good friend here, Thanos. I've actually been enjoying myself staring at the Thanos action figure in the store and talking to it. Yes, that's a true story. I actually do that kind of thing. Really, what we're going to talk about is Thanos and the Avengers. So strap yourselves in, brace yourselves, and I'm going to fill you in on the back history of what I like to call the 3 life cycles of Thanos. Now, life cycle number 1 is Thanos' first appearance, which was Iron Man number 55. Jim Starlin did the writing and the art, introduced that character in the pages of Iron Man along with Drax the Destroyer and along with the villains that we know as the Blood Brothers. That story spanned beyond the pages of Iron Man and spilled into the pages of Captain Marvel, the Kree captain, who battled Ben Grimm and the Super Skrull. Ben Grimm was duped into fighting Mar-Vell. Super Skrull was actually Thanos' lieutenant on Earth. And then Thanos made the big reveal to Captain Mar-Vell. One of the things you'll notice artistically is that Thanos bulked up a few pounds. As Jim Starlin would continue to draw the character, he added more weight, he added more mass, tried to make the character look more menacing. Captain Mar-Vell enlisted the aid of the Avengers. Now, as the story unfolded, we also saw Thanos questing for the Cosmic Cube. He snatched Rick Jones, Mar-Vell's kid sidekick, previously Captain America's kid sidekick, previously the Incredible Hulk sidekick, ultimately Rom Space Knight's sidekick. Rick Jones has had a storied career as kid sidekick. In any event, once Thanos ripped what he needed from the mind of Rick Jones, the location of the Cosmic Cube, he then used the cube. Thanos was a much more dangerous opponent than most other Marvel villains like the Red Skull that have ever had the cube, because Thanos is much more creative, he is much more imaginative. So rather than use the cube to simply disintegrate his enemies, he actually used the cube to give himself the cube's great power. Turned himself into an enormous ethereal godlike being, but occasionally remanifested himself physically so he could stalk his opponents. His opponents were unable to match his power, and it gave him a sense of superiority. Mar-Vell was able to use his cosmic awareness, shatter Thanos' connection to the cube, and although Mar-Vell and the Avengers believed Thanos was dead at that moment, he did in fact survive. Was picked up by his starship Sanctuary and taken aside to lick his wounds and prepare himself for his second life cycle. Now, the second life cycle of Thanos, once again, he's a power behind the scenes. We don't know that he is the villain of the piece, but what we do see in the pages of Strange Tales leading into Adam Warlock's series is that Warlock has diverged into 2 separate entities. Himself, the golden figure that we were familiar with from the previous series, where he worked on Counter-Earth on behalf of the High Evolutionary, and his future incarnation, a more silvery purple. He was said to be silver, but the coloring limitations at the time made him more purple. Had a big afro hairdo. I don't know what was up with that, but hey, at the time, it was the late 1970s, so let's just run with the hairstyle. In any event, Magus, as the future incarnation was known, was significantly more powerful than Warlock himself. Magus had the full knowledge of Warlock's past lives, down to the things that he would say in any given moment in time. Magus was thus able to confound Warlock by beating him to the punch before he ever did anything. Thanos attempted to interject a new unknown element. That element was Gamora. Gamora was unable to kill the Magus, and it was her failure that necessitated the direct involvement of Thanos. Now, when we see Thanos of Titan, he has once again put on a few pounds, looking epically muscular, looking monstrous and majestic simultaneously. He steps in and helps Adam Warlock, but by helping Adam Warlock, I actually mean manipulating Adam Warlock into defeating the Magus' lieutenant, his aide, the in-betweener. was the character, and shortening his own lifespan. I won't go into all the details of that, but long story slightly shorter, Adam Warlock went down a very existential path in terms of storytelling. It was brilliant writing on the part of Jim Starlin, and it had Adam Warlock living a very tragic life that ended at the hands of the mad Titan from Thanos. Or Titan Thanos from Titan. In any event, once again, the Avengers are involved, and while Adam Warlock is the primary nemesis for Thanos, the Avengers are along for the ride. Now, as Adam Warlock's book comes to an end, the story isn't over yet. It rolls into the pages of Avengers Annual number 7 and is concluded in the pages of Marvel 2-in-1 Annual number 2. So at this point now, we have brought in the Avengers, plus Captain Marvel, and Moondragon, and Spider-Man, and The Thing. Adam Warlock is briefly returned to life. He had been absorbed into the Soul Gem, was released from the gem, thank you, Spider-Man. During this latter part of the story arc, though, we did get to see just how epically powerful Thanos is. Thanos, at this stage, does not have the Cosmic Cube, and he is not directly wielding the Soul Gems. We would later know them as the Infinity Gems. However, on his own, bare knuckle, he is able to stand toe-to-toe with both Ben Grimm, the Thing, and Thor, and hold his own in this fight. Adam Warlock, however, coming back from the Soul Gem, was able to petrify Thanos, and we did not see Thanos again until he briefly stepped out of the realm of death to escort the soul of Captain Marvel from his pained life into a blissful afterlife. Now, Captain Marvel had contracted cancer in the pages of his own book, and his life came to an end during the Death of Captain Marvel graphic novel. A lot of people like to say that death in the Marvel Universe is never permanent. I would like to point out that from 1982 to present, Captain Marvel is still quite dead. That was also the last we would see directly of Thanos for some time, but in the Thanos quest and in the pages of Silver Surfer, and ultimately the pages of the Infinity Gauntlet, we saw Thanos return to life, given an epic mission by death to reduce the living population of the universe by 1/2. In order to tackle this enormous task, Thanos finds it necessary to gather together the 6 Infinity Gems. Now, Thanos has studied them, studied their purpose, and has a better sense of how to wield them, and once again demonstrates his incredible ingenuity and imagination. Once he has the gems, he very quickly elevates himself to #1 godlike being in the cosmos. He does snap his fingers and wipe out 50% of every living being, and that dramatically reduces the number of heroes to fight him. However, alongside of a returned to life Adam Warlock, alongside of the Silver Surfer, who is currently our champion of life, alongside Doctor Strange, there are the surviving Avengers. And let's face it, it's got Thor, it's got Captain America, and it's got everybody else that rallies to their side, including Victor Von Doom. All right, that's a pretty strange ad hoc group of Avengers, but hey, it's what we had to work with at the time. Now, Thanos is defeated. The Infinity Gauntlet is split into its 6 component gems. Adam Warlock divvies them up amongst the Infinity Watch, and that takes us down a path of Adam Warlock's life, which I'm not going to go down here now, because I'm limiting myself to Thanos and the Avengers. What do you think, big guy? Thanos and the Avengers will be in the upcoming Avengers movie. Thanos, thus far portrayed by Josh Brolin. That is, I think, going to be a fantastic addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Also, look forward to the recently announced upcoming Thanos comic book series from Marvel. So hey, Thanos, the Mad Titan, Thanos, lover of death, former wielder of the Cosmic Cube, former wielder of the Infinity Gauntlet, always cosmic badness. I'm Troy David, thanks for joining.